efforts in his first 2 games earned the Cumbrians 2 draws. Those vital points meant that Carlisle went into their final game of the Division 3 season, now League 2, needing to beat mid-table Plymouth Argyle in front of their own fans and hope their relegation rival Scarborough didn't win against Peterborough at home. The game at the McCain Stadium finished 1-1, and with the same scoreline at Brunton Park deep into injury time, Scarborough's fans invaded the pitch en masse, believing their Football League status was secure, convinced they'd done enough to stay up. However, there'd be one more plot twist. Carlisle won a corner in the dying seconds, and up came Jimmy Glass. In one of those you couldn't make it up moments, Glass scored from a rebounded header and was promptly swamped by teammates and thousands of fans who quite simply couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. As for Jimmy Glass, he became an overnight celebrity, but he never played for Carlisle again, and his playing career never really kicked on after that defining moment. He took on various jobs outside of football before finding his way back into the sport as player liaison officer at Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, and most recently the general manager at non-league Wimbledon. Not the fairy tale ending to one of the most Hollywood moments in football, but the name Jimmy Glass will live on forever as the scorer of that goal, arguably the most important in any club's history.
Good morning. This is Early Breakfast with Adrian Flux, insurance for the individual. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. I'm Sam Quek with you for the next hour as we build up to talkSPORT Breakfast at 6 with Jeff and Ali. Hope you all slept well last night. It was a little bit muggy, wasn't it? Sam's in here, just about to introduce you, Sam, but how did you sleep?
Oh, badly.
Do you have
Honestly.
a fan?
Yeah, I do have a fan. I have it stuck right on my face as well because in this temperatures, there's no chance to sleep without a fan. I don't think. You'll be all right last night because you got the hotel air conditioning, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. Get my money's worth.
Yes, exactly.
Lots to talk about over the next hour or so. We had a busy weekend, so what are the back pages telling us this morning?
Yeah, so we'll discuss Chelsea's pursuit of Brighton striker João Pedro and their big spending in this window. They're not showing any signs of letting up yet, are they, Chelsea? We'll discuss whether the weather protocols that saw Chelsea's last Club World Cup game delayed by 2 hours ridiculous, or do we just have to get used to it? We'll talk about England's under-21s as they retain their Euros championship, the Lions after their win over Western Force, and the Lionesses ahead of the women's Euros, which starts tomorrow. And of course, we'll get stuck into the front and back pages of the newspapers as well. A lot of João Pedro talk, a lot of talk about Victor Gyökeres, Lando Norris is there as well, and of course the start of Wimbledon, which starts today.
Lovely, yeah. Lots of strawberries and cream, as they say. Apparently no avocados this year, just mushed peas.
Oh, really? Mushy peas?
Mushed peas instead of avocados, or crushed.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Apparently it's good for the environment not to eat avocados.
Is that right?
So that's a change this year. Anyway, this is Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. Okay. Go on then, Sam. Back pages of the papers.
Yeah, we were to have a look at them, hadn't we? Wow, Pedro is the back page of the Sun this morning. Blues land £55 million frontman João Pedro, and Chelsea hijacked Newcastle's bid for Brighton star João Pedro. It looked like he was going to go to Newcastle, didn't it? After a lot of talk in the summer that he was their primary transfer target, but Chelsea have usurped them and have jumped in ahead of them and got João Pedro to Chelsea.
It has to be a London-centric thing, I think.
That's interesting.
If you're a player and you, unfortunately, that's where you get living in the north. If you've got to choose between a northern city and London, I think a lot of the young players now will want to be based in London. Not only them, but their families. Do you think?
Yeah, that is true.
And you're kind of 50-50. That's surely got to be the deciding factor.
That is true, but there is one. Although I suppose the difficulty at the moment is because Isak is such a brilliant player. You're probably not going to go in there as number one. But I do think there's more prestige to the Newcastle number 9 shirt than the Chelsea number 9 shirt.
Is Isak saying? Again, that's the question, isn't it? The uncertainty.
Not that he's number 9 Isak, but you take my point. He plays in that role, doesn't he? But yeah, exactly. Is he going to stay? And maybe that's one of the reasons why they were linked with him, because they weren't sure whether they were going to be able to keep him there. They're trying to tie him down to this massive contract, Alexander Isak, which you would if you're Newcastle, because he is brilliant. But he might fancy bigger things. And like you say, Sam, not only the attraction of London for João Pedro, but also the fact that Chelsea, I mean, okay, Newcastle won a trophy last year, but traditionally Chelsea trophy pigs, as Jason Cundy calls them, and they win a lot of trophies, don't they, Chelsea? So it's that's an attraction for players, isn't it? If you're going to go there, you know you're probably going to win something.
Yeah, definitely. And again, a young player, 23, striker. But this question mark still looms over Chelsea, in my opinion. I think a lot of people are talking about it. It's this leadership role, the experience role. Where is that more kind of older, level-headed player going to be when it comes to those sticky times?
Yes.
So they need, in my opinion, to really sign an experienced player.
Yeah, and I think what they're trying to do at the moment is trying to get these contracts, sort of 7-8 year contracts, very young players, and kind of mature together. But like you say, it does mean they lack the sort of mid to late 20s, early 30s type players that are going to really kind of, when the chips are down, they're going to have the know-how and nous to be able to get over the line. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next season. FIFA boss is under huge pressure to make changes to prevent next summer's World Cup turning into a farce. We'll talk about that. Weather conditions in America, and whether the threats of weather causing massive delays. We'll get Sam's thoughts on that in a minute. The under-21s all over the back pages after their victory at the weekend. Fantastic 3-2 win against Germany in the Euros final. Loads of the Lionesses as well after their victory over the Jamaica yesterday in their last warm-up game. And Wimbledon chat. Top-ranked Brits Jack and Emma, back page of the Mirror, lead home charge. 23 British players taking part at Wimbledon this year, which is the most for a long time.
Interestingly, though, how many of those can you name? Because you think 23? I didn't know there was 23 that were playing at Wimbledon.
Well, I'm across a few of them because of recent times. So there's Jacob Fernley, there's Emma Raducanu, there's Jack Draper, there's Cam Norrie, and then there's the one who Emma Raducanu is playing today, Mimi Zhu.
Yeah.
And then, what's that, 5? Oh, Casey Bolter, yeah, very good. So that's 6.
6 out of 20.
And then, that might be about it, actually. That's a good point. A good point.
Great, though, 23.
Yeah, 23 is amazing. And obviously any of those could become household names if they do well, couldn't they? So not necessarily to us, but I know they will. So, yeah, there we go. That's sort of a good selection of what's happening on the back pages today.
Brilliant. Yeah, we'll get stuck into those. But I'd just say João Pedro signing for Chelsea. And also Chelsea might be over at the World Cup in America, but it hasn't stopped them obviously being busy, as we've just said. Yesterday, João Pedro joining from Brighton for £50 million. The question is, though, can they push it through in time? Of course, they hopefully will want him to take part in the Club World Cup over in America. I think the deadline for that's Thursday, is it, Sam?
That sounds right.
Yeah, and then they can get the medical done and make sure that he can hopefully be involved should they progress in the tournament. Brazilian football expert Tim Vickery gave his thoughts to Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel on the Trans-Euro Express last night.
It does kind of... With the exception of this Bayern-Flamengo game, which was I thought was a cracking game of football. Yeah, me too. It hasn't been particularly good for the competition this round, has it? On Botafogo, Palmeiras was poor. The interruption, yet another interruption, was farcical. PSG Inter Miami was a mismatch. I ended up desperate for Flamengo not to equalise in this one, because I thought that extra time would have been absolute cruelty to these footballers who shouldn't be subjected to this. So there have been problems, as I said earlier on. The thing that really has ratcheted the whole thing up and probably saved the competition has been the South American fans, who now one by one are leaving. But at least if the South American fans are leaving, there's a very good South American player coming in who may still have a part to play in the rest of the tournament.
Well, that wasn't the clip we were expecting.
No, that was supposed to be Tim Briggy talking about João Pedro, but instead he talks about the Brazilian teams in the Club World Cup, which are very interesting. But not what we were looking for. Not on topic.
How inconsiderate of him.
Yeah, come on, Tim.
Anyway, the 23-year-old is set to sign a 7-year deal and compete for a starting position with new signing Liam Delap. The move will likely see the club moving a few players on, with fellow striker Christopher Nguku and Noni Madueke amongst the names who might depart Stamford Bridge this summer. Newcastle as well were the other club who were rumoured to be in for a shout on Pedro, and former Toon boss Alan Pardew says his old side will be disappointed to miss out.
Yao will travel on Tuesday for medical tests and contract signing ready for the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these, so they've obviously got it in time, and wow, I think that's a first class player. And fit well with all those young players around him. We should have kept Nathan on, because the Newcastle will be absolutely distraught about that.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a good player. I think he'll thrive at Chelsea.
Do you?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you're surrounded by the youth and you can feed off that energy, I think it can be lethal. But like you say, are we missing that leadership? And also, when are people going to start calling Chelsea Brighton B team? I mean,
Actually,
the amount of
that's true.
signings that they have brought across to Stamford Bridge is incredible, and obviously even manager with Graham Potter, and there was coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they do like to have some players from Brighton, don't they? That is true.
Yeah, was Cucurella one?
Yeah.
I think he's the fourth, isn't it?
Yeah, can I say that?
So there we go.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
It's interesting with João Pedro because he is very much a threat in the box. I think he can be a bit. I find he's a bit frustrating to watch at times because I feel like he's a big lad and he goes down quite easily. But he's got a threat in the area. He's good in the air, and Chelsea's deliveries from wide is good. So you feel like he will score plenty of goals for them. You get that sense. It will be interesting to see how he gets on because he's scored goals for Brighton, but a lot of them have been penalties. So whether or not he can sort of take it to the next level and be prolific at Stamford Bridge will be interesting to see. But he's definitely got the ability to do it, I think.
Yeah, I think we both agree on that. However, we had a caller, Theo. He called final word and said he's not actually impressed by Chelsea's new signing.
I do believe it is a good signing in terms of quality and Premier League proven. But when I look at the team, especially the game at the Club World Cup, Chelsea's squad, very strong squad. But then the team, when I see a PSG kind of system going, all we're missing, I believe, is quality centre back like Marquinhos, almost a leader, and a good goalkeeper. If we do get that, we'll compete heavily in the league. But I don't get why we're trying to go for all these attackers when we have quality. Cole Palmer will definitely play in the 10 now. Pedro Neto on one wing, and if we get Gittins, you look at that and you're like, that's very strong.
Well, you mentioned Gittins there as well. Another name who Chelsea are closing in on, the 20-year-old winger from Dortmund. Here's talkSPORT's European football expert, Kev Hatchard.
So Dortmund, where they differ, I think, at the moment is the add-ons, but I think they will get there. And it'll end up being probably close to what Dortmund wanted in the first place, which is around about 65 million euro. So yeah, only a little bit bigger than the figure you just said. And I think you're right. I think in terms of the tactical fit for Niko Kovac and Dortmund, he's no longer that. There's clearly elements of his game that Kovac isn't convinced by. I think maybe the defensive work is part of that. He sets great store by the work against the ball, and Gittins can be a little bit lax in that regard sometimes. And also he hasn't quite found the consistency, but I think he's got potential. I think he's been improving steadily at Dortmund. And I think, you know, if Chelsea are looking for somebody, a traditional winger on that left-hand side who can cut inside and do damage, then I think he makes sense for them. So it could work out for all parties, this. I think Gittins gets to come back to England, and I think maybe give himself an opportunity of getting into that England squad on a regular basis in the near future.
Yeah, fascinating. And also, I just have to say, Dortmund are so brilliant, aren't they? Bringing that youth through and giving them the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a number of players come through, haven't we?
Absolutely. I mean, okay, they brought Jude Bellingham over, but he thrived, didn't he, at Dortmund? He's now got his brother.
Yeah.
Jamie Gittins is there. Jadon Sancho was absolutely great when he was at Dortmund, and he set himself up for a big move. So they are really the harnessers of young talent. For
definitely.
Sure.
And they're coming over with confidence and really interested, and will be potential great signing for Chelsea. But Chelsea fans, are you pleased to see your side splashing the cash this summer? Let us know. 03717223344. Or do you think we actually, I sound like a Chelsea a Chelsea supporter, or do you agree what we're saying, that actually maybe an older goalkeeper, more experienced centre back, just to lead from the back? What do you think, Sam? Because you do need the wise head, don't you, sometimes, just to slow things down, because defensively they could be a bit kind of, what's the word? I don't want to say weak, because I don't think they're weak.
No,
it's almost just a bit
lapse concentration at times, a little flaky. I think you're right, and I think that's the big thing for Chelsea. I think the goalkeeper situation is one that I'm really surprised hasn't been sorted. Sanchez is okay, but I think they probably could do with an upgrade in that position. And I'm surprised they've not spent a bit more time prioritising that, because they've scored plenty of goals, Chelsea. They've got a lot of good attacking players, and it's always nice to improve in those areas. But I think when you've got key glaring areas that need strength first and foremost, you have to get your your sort of solid foundations, don't you? And I'm not sure they've necessarily done that yet. Chelsea.
Yeah, still plenty of time, of course.
Yep.
The transfer window opened towards the beginning of the season over in August. On the field, of course, in case you missed it, Chelsea defeated Benfica 4-1 on Saturday night to make it through to the last day in the Club World Cup. But the game was affected by a 2-hour delay due to the threat of storms in the Charlotte area. talkSPORT pundit Scott Minto, who commentated on the game, is not a fan of the protocol.
The rules are it's reset for a further 30 minutes every time another lightning strike occurs in an 8-mile radius. And the pictures that we were getting, the sun was coming out, let alone there was no rain or storm or anything. So I think, one, they've got to look at that. Two, if that's not going to move, then they need to look at whether they should be playing where they're playing, because this should not happen in an under-10s tournament, let alone in a Club World Cup run by FIFA.
See, I find this fascinating, Sam, because the weather is obviously a natural occurrence, and I think the Americans are so used to this. So, for example, in the NFL, this is a regular thing.
Yeah.
I was even in Philadelphia one year watching them play the Falcons, and there was a weather delay, and we were in the stands for about an hour and a half. And I think the issue is, I think they have to wait 30 minutes until the last thunder or lightning strike is heard or seen, which is a little bit ridiculous because it could be going a different way. The NFL invest in meteorologists. They have weather specialists on site and off site so they can make quick decisions. I think it's going to be fascinating for the World Cup in 2026. I think FIFA have to get something like that in place if they haven't already.
The problem is that the American football is quite a disrupted game, isn't it? So they're almost used to having periods of the game where there's lots of plays that are broken down and things like that, and stopping and starting. Whereas football's a much more fluid sport in that sense, isn't it? So I guess there is the clubs and the countries who aren't used to it are probably going to find it a bit of a shock to the system. But you're also saying that you think that Thomas Tuchel's going to need to do some preparation work on that from the England side. Yeah,
definitely. I think psychology is going to play a massive part. From my experience playing with Team GB, we used to play in Argentina, America, so similar weather threats. We did have to come off the pitch for sometimes 10 minutes, half an hour, and it does affect your psychology of how to approach your game, because do you switch off? Do you tell yourself, okay, switch off and then switch back on after half an hour? Do I eat? How much do I drink? Do I keep warm? Do I not keep warm and then warm up again?
Yeah.
So all of this, I think, if England are going to be really successful in the World Cup, that's going to play a massive, massive factor. But again, I just think we can't complain about it. You can't just say, oh, we're going to host all major tournaments in Europe because we don't get any massively extreme weather conditions like the US does. So I think it's just something that we have to get your head down, and a lot of the managers are just going to have to get used to, and a lot of the players, but anyway, Enzo Maresca was not happy, safe to say.
No, he was not happy. He was not happy.
Okay, well, our commentary of our next game at the Club World Cup comes in the early hours of tomorrow morning as Manchester City take on Al Hilal for a spot in the last 8. That one will be live from 2 a.m. on talkSPORT, and we'll preview the game later on as well. But coming up next, we'll take a look inside the morning papers. Good morning. This is Early Breakfast with Adrian Flux. Get a tailor-made quote for your commercial vehicle. Search Adrian Flux Insurance for the individual. Jess Stelling and Ali McCoy's to come at 6 a.m. And don't forget, you can listen to all of our stations on the talkSPORT app. Should you prefer music, you can have a listen to Virgin. It's on there. There's also news where you can listen to a bit of talk, and also, as well, Times Radio with the news. Just swipe between the stations depending on what you fancy. But this morning, we are waking up to plenty of headlines. First up, England will head into the Women's Euros on the back of a thumping 7-0 victory over Jamaica. Lucy Bronze scored either size of a first half. Brace from Ella Toone before the Lionesses added another 4 after the break in Leicester. The defending champions play France in their opening group game in Switzerland on Saturday, and it'll be live on talkSPORT. In F1, Lando Norris held off the challenge from teammate Oscar Piastri as McLaren secured a 1-2 finish at F1's Austrian Grand Prix. Victory also sees him cut the Australians' lead in the Drivers' Championship to 15 points. The Ferraris were next over the line with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton third and fourth respectively, while Britain's George Russell was fifth for Mercedes. Red Bull's defending world champion Max Verstappen was nowhere to be seen as he crashed out in the first lap. And a rematch between British boxing rivals Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn will take place in London this September. They first clashed in a highly anticipated bout back in April, with Eubank claiming a unanimous points decision at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. No venue has actually been announced just yet for that second fight, but it's sure going to be an absolute belter. If it's anything to go like the first, talkSPORT's boxing expert Gareth A. Davis is not a huge fan of the idea, but hopes the rematch will be just as good as the first.
I felt that it should be one and done, because the finessing of this fight, the important thing is the weight cut for Chris Eubank Jr. Obviously, he's up in front of the board.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
In the boilers. Yeah, he's up in front of the board this month, or in July, for the fact that he was in a sauna suit, and he put a video out about it. Sauna suits and saunas are banned by the Boxing Board of Control for cutting weights, and he put that kind of flagrant video out. They're looking at it, and something needs to be seen to be done about it. I hope he doesn't get a big fine, and also I hope that the rehydration clause on him for this isn't too stringent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much looking forward to the second bout. I can't wait. The first fight was incredible, Sam.
Cracker,
it was awesome, wasn't it?
Absolute cracker, yeah.
Yeah, we'll just wait to find out where it is, because Tottenham Hotspur did a brilliant job.
They did. I wonder where it'll be. I mean, do you think
I don't know, is it
would
gonna
it fill
be a
another stadium? It probably could, couldn't it? If the first fight was anything to go by in terms of it was so good, I think people would want to see a second fight.
I'm just thinking, it's September, so
difficult to be a football stadium, isn't it?
Really difficult. Wembley?
Maybe.
If there's any fixtures either side of it. Anyway, let's have a look at the back pages again, Sam. What are we starting off with?
Yes, we better just hear from our commercial partners.
The back page review on talkSPORT with Adrian Flux. Insurance for the individual. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk.
Emma Raducanu leads the British charge at roasting Wimbledon today. 14 out of 23 Brits, the highest number in the two singles draws since 1984. Will be in action on day one, with temperatures set to soar towards 33 degrees. I mean, I think if you kind of think to yourself, if you're a tennis player, you're probably going to get the odd rain delay at Wimbledon. Talking about rain delays, we're talking about that in the States. You're going to get 3 or 4 hours of those at Wimbledon, don't you, if it's not on one of the courts that's got a roof. But you're probably not expecting that you're going to be playing in 33, 34 degrees. That's going to be brutal, isn't it, for the players today, trying to get off to a good start.
More so for the spectators. We're not used to this heat.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas like Australia, you're playing the Open over there, across the world, US Open.
Yeah.
But
that's true. Even at Flushing Meadows in America, it can be hot, can't it? In August time. But
imagine being sat in the stands, sun beating down on you, and I presume you can't have umbrellas because people behind you can't see. Could put the players off.
That's true.
But
they better keep that Pims nice and cold, haven't they?
Oh God, that's priorities, you see.
It's true.
Also, did you know the grass has to stay and has to be kept at 8 millimetres?
8 millimetres.
8 millimetres.
Wow, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Anyway,
how do they keep it at that? I mean, surely once they've been trainers treading on it, it's sort of.
Who knows? Maybe they have like a grass fluffer.
Yeah, maybe.
Whether it's a machine or a person, who knows?
Yes, exactly. Yes, because they've not got line judges this year, have they?
No, AI strikes again.
Exactly. Are you in favour of that? Do you want to see people doing it, or do you care?
Oh
that
yeah, you can't be. You know, when you hear it out, they don't even shout anything. It's just like, oh.
Someone always gets a stray whack, don't they, in a leg or something, from a stray serve.
But very much looking forward to the start of Wimbledon.
It'll be cracking, yeah. Britt Jacob Fernley channeling the spirit of a blood-spitting lizard, it says here, against the Samba sensation. Number 1 court host Fernley against João Fonseca in what promises to be a fascinating duel. British number 2, second Wimbledon and 4th Slam in total. And this time last year he was ranked 277th in the world. It's been an incredible 12 months for the graduate from Texas Christian University, whose emblem is the native horned frog. Yet this animal has an unusual method of fighting off predators. He said it's real. It's called a horned frog, but it's actually a lizard. There are some in Texas, I think, in South America. They basically spit blood from their eyes when they feel threatened. That sounds pretty intimidating, doesn't it? I hope none of the tennis players have to do that today. Spitting blood from their eyes. What's going on there? Now, we've talked about the weather in the States, obviously. There's a lot of the Lions talk as well. And what about the Lionesses? Now, they were in action yesterday. 7-0 win. Very comfortable 7-0 win against Jamaica. Good build-up, I suppose, for them, although probably not the quality they'll be getting in the European Championships. But what do you make of the Lionesses' hopes, then, for this upcoming Euros?
I think they're up there. Obviously holding the title, going in with a really good team, in my opinion. There's lots of experience, lots of exciting youth. But I'm going to question mark the game last night.
Okay.
Because you can look at it from one side to say, actually, 7-0, brilliant, scored lots of goals, real confidence booster. But first game of the Euros, it's going to be a bit of a shock to the system. You're not going to roll over France 7-0. So I look at it as could they have played maybe a higher rated ranked team? Jamaica are 40th in the world, and I think with women's football only getting to where it is now in terms of quality, you know, the difference from 1 to 20 in world rankings in women's football is huge.
Yeah.
And you're going to beat the lower ranked teams significantly. So yeah, I hope it was a confidence boost rather than, we're going to enter the first game of the Euros with a bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah, I think you make a really interesting point there, because it's actually very similar for the men's team, because they got knocked out of the Group A of the Nations League, haven't really played anybody of any note, and they probably won't, particularly apart from maybe a couple of friendlies going into the World Cup next year. So I think there's a lot to be said for, you know, playing those teams. I mean, look at the Nations League finals this year in the men's game. You know, look at, I think it was Portugal against Spain or something, wasn't it? And Germany and France playing together. You know, really, really competitive games, top level. They're going to be raring to go, ready to go, facing the challenges, knowing what's expected. Whereas if you're playing teams like, with all due respect, you know, Andorra in a lot of your games, World Cup qualifiers and things, and same for England playing Jamaica in a friendly, you're not going to get up to that level which you require when you're playing in those major games as soon as the business starts.
Yeah, and you can't blame the players or the manager, because again, from experience, when you're playing a lower ranked team, you kind of not sit back intentionally. You psychologically you think, well, we're going to beat these anyway, so you might play at maybe 70%. Whereas if you're playing like a top 10 team, or you know, a Netherlands who are ranked number 1 in hockey, or you know, you're playing USA in women's football, you're going to know if you make one mistake, they're going to exploit it. There's no room for error, and you really have to be on it. So yeah, I think it'll be fascinating. It'll be a great tournament. I can't wait.
Yeah, it will be great, and we'll see whether it makes any difference on Saturday live on talkSPORT. Anyway, that was a look at today's back pages with Adrian Flux.
The back page review on talkSPORT with Adrian Flux. Insurance for the individual. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk.
You're listening to Early Breakfast on talkSPORT. Up next, we'll look at the England under-21s team as they retain their Euros crown.
Corinthian-Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895 they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
Good morning, I'm Sam Quek and this is Early Breakfast with Adrian Flux, the cover you need. At a price you'll love with What Vans Insurer of the Year 2021. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. Don't forget as well, you can watch the show and all of the talkSPORT shows on your smart TV. I'll be taking you through until 6 when Jeff and Ali arrive for talkSPORT Breakfast. Some of the headlines that you're waking up to this morning. Wimbledon starts today. An all-British clash between Mimi Zhu and Emma Raducanu is among the headline matches. The teenager meets the nation's top-ranked women's player in the final match on #1 court this evening. That's after Jacob Fernley takes on Brazil's João Fonseca. As is tradition, defending men's champion Carlos Alcaraz gets the action underway on centre court against the Italian Fabio Fognini. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has confirmed he's leaving Everton after 9 years at the club. The England striker will become a free agent, and he's thanked the club and fans, saying it was not a decision that he took lightly. In his best season at Everton in 2020-21, he scored 25 goals for the club and country, but managed just 3 in the most recent campaign. And Jonathan Rowe headed in a dramatic extra-time winner for England's under-21s as they beat Germany 3-2 to retain their European Championship title. The Young Lions had gone 2-0 up through Harvey Elliott and Amari Hutchinson before their opponents hit back to force another half an hour in Bratislava. Victory sees Lee Carsley's side defend the trophy that they lifted in 2023. And the game was live for you on talkSPORT.
No nation has ever won back-to-back under-21 European Championships. And he'll drop to Elliott in the area, and he's rolled it in! No one can stop this player. Elliott with a delightful dink up the middle, and James McAtee, the England captain, is clear. Can he poke it into the path of Hutchinson in the area? He does! Hutchinson! 2-0 to England! 2-0, and we have to say, it's been coming. Nabel dribbles down the left and then checks back onto his left foot away from Stansfield, and the header is in! Germany have got one back. It's Viper. One goal, momentum changes. England just need to keep focused. Nabel onto the right foot. Oh, what a wonderful goal! Into the top corner. It is a Germany equaliser. What a final. in the Under-21 Euros on talkSPORT. Drop to Naval! He's hit the bar! Fire the deflection! Germany nearly win it. Extra time is looming. Back to Morton, who delivers a great cross. Header in! John Rowe!
Unbelievable start to the extra time.
It is history for England's Under-21s. A 4th European Championship title. England's young guns are kings of Europe again. The ticker tape goes off. McAtee hoists the trophy high up into the air.
An amazing achievement for England's youngsters. Great to see them playing with such belief and confidence. And also a nod, of course, to Lee Carsley, who did a fantastic job with the guys. Football writer and talkSPORT presenter Henry Winter, who followed the under-21s out in Slovakia, said Carsley is a contender to replace Thomas Tuchel when he eventually leaves the England job.
I would say that he's far more, not confident, because there's no arrogant streak to him, but he's far more, he clearly believes in himself even more now, because he did get a bit of a kicking from us lot after the was it the Greek game? The Greek game, when he decided to go without a number 9. But yeah, I mean, if you look back on that, you take a step back, and we talked to him about that out there. You know, he had 5 wins out of 6. He got England promoted back into Nations League, League A, and he gave, 7, 8 debuts, and they played some pretty good football apart from in that Greece game. So, yeah, I think he's absolutely going to be a contender. I still think Eddie Howe is. I just think there's. Eddie Howe's obviously so tied up with Newcastle, rightly so. Newcastle, fantastic. Now is not the time to leave Newcastle United. They've got, an outstanding team, highlighted by Livramento's performance that we've witnessed over the last 2.5 weeks.
Conversations already starting about Lee Carsley's future. What do you think? Get in touch. Give us a call. 03717 223344. And for more as well on all the day's headlines and biggest stories, visit talksport.com. Also, over the weekend, the British Lions picked up their first win as a group in their first game on Aussie soil as they defeated Western Force 54-7. Woof! Thought that was a mistake there. Absolute battering. The game was live for you on talkSPORT.
Low keeps it alive. Brilliant ball back inside. And Dan Sheehan, the Lions captain. It's a minute and 35 seconds. First try of the night. Western Force. Nick White's going to dive and go through the pile of bodies. Does he get there? Yes, he does. Pollock's got it back and he's barreling his way forward. Up and over the 22. Keeps going. 5 metres out. Can he get the offload away? Yes, he can. Thomas Williams will score for the Lions.
Then Russell's tapped it on.
They have. And he's over the 22. He's kept hold of the ball. Offloaded a metre short of the line to Elliot Daly. Who does he get it down? Yes, says the referee.
Half-time though. First game on Australian soil for the 2025 British and Irish Lions. It is the Western Force 7. British and Irish Lions 21.
Thomas Williams takes it from James Lowe. Returns it to Lowe inside the 22. Great ball back to Thomas Williams, who scores in the right-hand corner. His second try of the evening. Daly and Tui Pilotto out to Mac Hansen. Returns it back in field. And Gary Ringrose will score for the Lions. Mitchell will clear it away to the left-hand side. Van der Fleer, big ball over the top. Joe McCarthy for the left corner. Second row will score. 54 played. The Lions have try number 6. 4-7. British and Irish Lions 38.
Another huge moment for Henry Pollock. Didn't look like there was much on when he gathered the ball.
Right by the base of the right-hand upright. Goes back to Mitchell. It's Marcus Smith going back to the right-hand side. Gives to Elliot Daly. And Elliot Daly will score his second try of the evening. Lovely ball from Daly to Tui Pilotto. Crosses halfway. Gives it back to Hansen. Hansen is now making his way to the 22. And gives to Alex Mitchell. And the Lions scrum half will round things off. And that is that. Western Force 7. British and Irish Lions 54.
A more than convincing win for the Lions. And Captain Dan Sheehan said being given the armband fulfilled a lifelong dream.
Dream come true to put on this jersey, and alongside, 9 others, was it? It's just something that you're growing up as a kid wanting to do, and I suppose leading that group of people is something special and something that I'll be forever grateful for. But the team basically runs itself with the people that's in it, and everyone grabs a hold of it, and there's not people looking at me for leadership. It's all over the place. So I thought today was unbelievable, something I'll always remember, and it's great to sort of get the jersey on, and at the first game down in Australia, and now we're kicking on, and we're just trying to improve every week. So great start, and can't wait to sort of rip into the rest of the tour.
Lovely words there from Sheehan, but typical captain's response, so humble and so honest. Coach Andy Farrell has actually already named his side to play Queensland's Reds in the Lions' next game, making 14 changes to his starting 15. That game will be live for you on Wednesday morning on talkSPORT. We are your home of the Lions. Time for the front pages now with Sam.
It's a front page throwdown.
Oh, what a move!
The front pages first on the early sports breakfast.
talkSPORT.
Why have you come in scratching your head, Sam?
Was I?
You look a bit confused reading those front pages. Is there a story where you just think that's a bit weird?
I think it's a bit baffling, to be honest. Absolutely baffling. Wimbledon, I'm back to Wimbledon again, I'm afraid, but we're talking about drinks prices now.
What's the damage?
Absolutely disgraceful. Wimbledon has put up drinks prices with fans facing a bill of £24.50 for 2 Pims.
What? How big are the Pims?
It's a great question. It doesn't actually give quantities
They
here.
better be jugs.
But what I can tell you is that a pint of Stella Artois, I like the fact it says here Stella Artois Premium Lager. Premium.
Is there a
second rate Stella
Maybe,
Artois?
I don't know.
Anyway, £8.85.
Wow.
$8.85. That's worse than Central London prices, that.
That is shocking.
Up 36% in 2 years, that is. What is going on with these prices? It cost $6.50 in 2023, apparently. All England Club spokesperson declined to comment on the price increases. I bet they did. What are they going to say about it? Ripping people off?
That is so expensive.
Yeah.
I'm stunned. I mean, what is it to stop people getting tipsy, to stop people getting drunk?
Possibly, or just to, put a few... Because the trouble is that what happens is the prices go up when the prize money goes up. So you wonder whether or not that's what's, they've got to try and pay for it somehow.
That's a really good point.
Part of it goes into... I don't know whether it does, because I don't know whether it goes towards the businesses. I don't quite know how it works. But you would imagine there's a correlation there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that is bad, though.
It is, isn't it?
That's shocking, yeah.
$12.25 a glass for Pims. There you go. I don't know how much that would be. A glass, yeah, not even a jug. A glass.
And can you imagine how much of that volume is taken up by ice and mint and fruit? I wonder how much Pims you're actually getting in.
That's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. Are you looking forward to the Oasis reunion? Are you an Oasis fan?
I am an Oasis fan.
Are you going? No.
No, I didn't even try to get tickets.
Did you not?
No.
You went to a gig last week, though, didn't you?
I went to Dua Lipa at Anfield.
How was she?
Great. She was amazing.
Yeah.
The One Kiss live at Anfield. Great.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I always like to get standing tickets as well, room to dance and copy the dance moves. I mean, I look nothing like Dua Lipa, but in my head we can all perform, can't we? Why? What's the chat about Oasis then?
Oh no, it's just they're all over the papers. Oasis are rehearsing at Cardiff's Principality of the Stadium this week in a bid to sound their best for Friday's tour opener. Noel and Liam haven't played together for years, and the band has some new members. So while most groups only do a sound check on the day of the gig, they're leaving nothing to chance. Now, this is in a way it's a good thing. Obviously, they're being professional. They've even said, we're not going to come up with some big grand thing. We're just going to walk out on stage and do our stuff. We don't want to be showing off all that sort of stuff. But I kind of think to myself, are they going to make it? Are they going to make it to these gigs? Are they not going to fall out in between times?
The price again of tickets and how hard people had to fight to get them. You'd like to think they're organised and going to put on a very organised show.
I would like to think so. Yeah,
are you going?
So.
Did you get?
I'm not going. No, I rather hope that there might be a few floating around the office because talkSPORT, Noel Gallagher, we're sort of big pals, aren't we? Noel's a bit of a good fan of talkSPORT. I thought he might have handed out a few to some of the bosses, and they might be hand-me-downs that we could
profit from. Dibs.
But no, not happening, unfortunately. Well, not as far as I know, anyway. How about this? The chips are down for brown sauce and ketchup as Brits turn to more spicy and exotic flavours. HP sauce sales fell by 5.7%, while Heinz's are down 1.1% for its relish, according to figures by the grocer. It reported some of the biggest names are struggling. Brits' love of spicy flavours remains rampant, and table sauce is no exception. But one of the biggest winners has been Nando's, apparently. So, are you a fan of what? Would you go for the traditional ketchup or mayo for your chips, or are you a bit more of something more exotic on your chips?
See, Sam, you're actually talking to what my friends and family call me, the condiment queen.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, I can't have a meal without a condiment.
Okay.
So I go back to the original question.
Yeah.
It's all about salt and vinegar. Lots of vinegar for me.
Lots of vinegar?
I'm like with my chips, no sauce for me.
Okay.
Just so much vinegar that the bottom of the chip goes translucent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like acidic.
You like it to be sort of swimming in vinegar?
Yeah, anything pickled or anything vinegar. So
really?
Ketchup, bacon butty,
Yeah.
HP sauce, sausage butty.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay. HP sauce and sausage butty and ketchup in a bacon butty, not the other way around.
Not the other way around. What about you?
I'm not really a ketchup man, I'm afraid, so it'd have to be HP sauce for me in a butty.
Either or bacon
You
or
look
sausage.
disgusted that I'm not into ketchup. Absolutely disgusted.
No,
because you're the
I've
Cobra
never heard anyone say that. Ketchup feels like a rite of passage, doesn't it, as a child?
Queen. It does, to be fair. It does. It's the sort of thing that every kid had to suffer through. We didn't like it.
Or you're more of the relish.
Yes.
That's why it says relish, doesn't it?
Relish,
What's a ketchup relish?
That's a good question. I mean, I suppose it's ketchup with some kind of fancy. It's like more of a sort of salsa type thing, isn't it? Anyway, spicy flavours which combine a sweet spot with a kick, such as honey and sriracha, are taking off thanks to social media. Do you like a bit of, hot and spicy on your chips?
Not with chips. Maybe a bit of mayo mixed with ketchup. Do you remember when Heinz tried to market that in a bottle when everyone was just like, well, why can't you just get your own mayonnaise and ketchup and mix it?
Yeah, exactly that.
But no, too posh that for me.
Anyway, fascinating stuff this morning. We've gone from the ridiculous prices of drinks at Wimbledon to ketchup on your chips.
Hard-hitting stuff, innit?
Hard-hitting stuff.
Important stuff.
Always.
Important stuff. Okay, plenty to talk about again after the break. Up next, we'll be discussing more of the morning's headlines. Good morning. This is Early Sports Breakfast with me, Sam Quek, on talkSPORT. Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoyster on the way for talkSPORT Breakfast at 6 a.m. Well, it's what everyone's been talking about. The reunion of the century is just around the corner, and we're giving you a chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets in Manchester on July 19th. Yes, that's right. Oasis Live 25 is sold out, but talkSPORT can get you in. But that's not all. Alongside the tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel and put $5,000 in your back pocket as well. Completely tax-free. Listen up right now for everything you need to know on how to enter.
Alright, kid. You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and £5,000 spending money, all you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
Good luck entering. As I say, you've got to be in it to win it. Right, over to Club World Cup news now. Tomorrow morning, Manchester City are in action as they take on Al Hilal live on talkSPORT at 2 a.m. If they make it through, they will take their place into the quarter-finals. Meanwhile, last night, Bayern Munich defeated Brazilian side Flamengo 4-2, while in the other last 16 clash, PSG thrashed into Miami 4-0. The game was live for you on talkSPORT too.
Lionel Messi's magic has graced the Club World Cup, and now he faces a team from his past as Inter Miami look to dump the European champions PSG out of the competition. It's Vitinha, drifts it to the far post and a free header, and there is the opening goal. João Neves, one of the smallest men on the field, but he comes up with a big moment. Barcola, Fabian Ruiz plays it into the middle, and there is the second goal for PSG, and a second goal for João Neves. He's Doué with the cross. Oh, it's another one.
And you've got two incredibly talented forward players. They're just not able to get out because of the press of PSG, and they're certainly not able to cope with the movement and the quality.
The lovely ball. Barcola's in, cuts it back. It could be another off the crossbar from Hakimi, and then he scores second time around. It is 4-0. It's a demolition. It's a lesson.
And talkSPORT co-commentator Dean Ashton says other teams will fear playing PSG as well.
Mightily impressive it was, especially both in and out of possession, showing their strength and quality that they've produced, like you said, right from the start of this year. And they're going to take some stopping. Inter Miami at least showed a little bit of life in that second half, a couple of messy moments, but nothing really to worry PSG, who just coasted, absolutely coasted in that second half, saved their energy for what will be another difficult knockout round to come, but it's hard to look past them with the quality as well that they're able just to bring off the bench, and scary for most of the teams.
Yeah, unbelievable performance there from PSG, the European champions, winning convincingly. And I think, actually, if they would have played a lot of their second-choice starters, I think they would have got a convincing win, which is quite something considering Miami have such a wealth of experience. The likes of, Javier Mascherano, the manager, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, Suarez, Messi. I tell you what, I wouldn't have liked to have been in the dressing room at half-time when the result was the way it was. But yeah, massive performance there from PSG. Sam, we're going to have another quick roundup of the back pages, aren't we?
Yeah, indeed. Just to sort of remind everybody what's happening this morning, the big headline really that's dominating the papers this morning is this move for João Pedro from Chelsea, or I should say from Chelsea to João Pedro, who's going to join for $50 million. From Brighton. It takes their spending on attacking players to more than £100 million in a weekend after the West London club reached an agreement to sign Jamie Gittins. So it's not letting up, is it, Chelsea's spending? Interesting to see what that all means for them, shaping up for not just the back end of the Club World Cup, but also the Premier League next season. In fact, Sam, you made an interesting point earlier about the fact that you think injuries are going to be pretty soon into the new season for some of these clubs playing in the Club World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think we're not going to know the fallout, are we, until potentially Christmas, when we're going to probably see a little bit of burnout. But I'd be more interested actually the start of the season, because these players haven't had their summer break yet. And when it comes to athletic training, you actually lose a lot of the fitness when you're doing nothing a lot quicker than actually when you gain in training. So if they're going to take 1 or 2 weeks off, they're going to lose a lot of fitness, a lot of robustness, and they need that time off. But are they going to have enough time then to get it where it needs to be come the beginning of the season? We could see a few niggles maybe for Chelsea and Man City. Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? You wonder how they're going to manage the players in terms of the minutes, because they can't play. Every player can't play every game. It's absolutely physically impossible.
It's ridiculous, and I know Jurgen Klopp say it and come out more recently about how ridiculous this scheduling is for players, and I've got to agree with him. I just think if I was a player, when does it stop?
Yeah.
Because even in the breaks for the Premier League, you're playing international, both in senior and under 21s. I didn't think I'd say this, but I do feel sorry for the Premier League players in particular. They just need time off mentally as well.
There's just no let up, is there, for any of them?
No.
Some of especially these ones in the Club World Cup and then the World Cup next year.
Club World Cup.
It's crazy.
I'm not a fan.
Also over the back pages, of course, the Lions after their win at the weekend, terrific victory for them. The England under-21s after their win in the Euros, retaining the title for them. Apparently James McAtee might be on the move from Manchester City. That's the talk. England's Euros winning captain, the midfielder, led the young Lions to glory with victory over Germany on Saturday after opting to play for his country rather than City at the Club World Cup, but apparently unlikely to find a way back into Pep Guardiola's squad. He will have a lot of suitors if he moves on from Man City, the 22-year-old. And, of course, the Lionesses ahead of their game, or on the back of their game against Jamaica. They play France in the Euros at the weekend. And, of course, Serena Wiegmann's been talking as well, I think, about the connection with the under-21s.
Yeah, of course, when you get that experience playing a final, that absolutely helps you. It's really positive. I also think it's incredible for Lee, because he's now made the second final in a row. Very exciting. And there's another thing also with this, which is really nice, that Maya Letizier's stepbrother is in the team with Alex Scott. So, yeah, we're involved. It's really crucial, I think, to play these tournaments, and even better when you play a final, moving forward for these young players, and hopefully they will make the senior team too. Same for the women's game, of course.
Yeah, really inspiring stuff from the 21s. Hopefully that can translate to the Lionesses coming up this week. Okay, well, that's all we've got time for on Early Breakfast. Here's what's coming up on talkSPORT Breakfast today. Jeff and Ali will be with you, as well as former Lion Will Greenwood. He'll also be in the studio. Legendary tennis player Sue Barker will look ahead at Wimbledon. That starts today. And England legends Stuart Pearce. Full packed. Lots more as well to come, of course. You've been listening to Early Breakfast with Adrian Flux, insurance for the individual. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. talkSPORT Breakfast is up next.